Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for joining us on Crypto Hot Seat. Today we have a special Ethereum birthday edition. We are looking back at 6 years of Ethereum. Joining me on the show today, it's the Crypto All-Star team from Token Metrics. We have Forrest Pribish, Senior Cryptocurrency Investment Analyst, and of course, our good friend, the Chief Technical Analyst of Token Metrics, Mr. Bill Noble. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this special Ethereum birthday occasion.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Hey,
So, what do we need to talk about when it comes to looking back at 6 years of Ethereum? How did you guys first become aware of Ethereum?
All right, well, I'll go on this one. So I'm in a not so glamorous apartment in the Central Texas area, and I get a phone call from an ex-Goldman colleague who says, Bill, we read your work about all the volatile markets during volatile times in stocks. We really need you to start looking at crypto because it's volatile all the time. So I'm like, well, I don't know what any of this is. I don't know what Ethereum is. I don't understand it. It's going to take a while. So I grabbed a piece of graph paper and a pencil and I started charting it. Like every day, every price bar, I would record it on the graph paper. And I did that until the chart was the size of a wall because Ethereum had gone up so much in 2017. And eventually I got my education, but I started by learning it with a pencil. And I eventually learned that, you know, it was a cryptocurrency that was money, but it was in search of a killer app. Didn't have that purpose yet. And then I just studied from there.
Forrest, what did you buy first, Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Bitcoin, actually. Yeah. So technically, I got into my brother actually got everyone into crypto pretty early in the high school days. Unfortunately, we didn't save our Bitcoin long enough to be rich or anything, and we were just kind of high school kids. But when we first got into crypto, I want to say in like 2012. I had a couple Bitcoin laying around, and of course, sold it or lost it. I know my brother had been mining it on his laptop early on and lost that laptop that probably has millions of dollars on it somewhere. But I first got into Ethereum, I want to say 4 years later in 2016. And this is really when I first got into crypto. Being in 2012, I wasn't really in, right? We had like one or two just for the heck of it. And at the time, if you go back to 2012, that's nothing. I mean, it's just like chump change, putting $10 into Bitcoin. But I first got into Ethereum in 2015, 2016, when I read the white paper. I believe I bought my first 40 Ethereum for $12 or $13 each. Obviously wish I would have bought a lot more. And this is back when exchanges were still very, very sketchy. I bought it on an exchange called BTC-E that ended up getting in trouble for laundering stolen Bitcoin, I believe. So basically, I think some government, I'm not sure which government it was, actually like raided or I don't know what the proper term is, but I essentially lost 40% of my Ethereum on that BTC-E raid or bust. So, wish I would have bought more back then when it was only 12 or 13 bucks. And also wish I would have just moved it to private custody instead of leaving it on a sketchy exchange. But you live and you learn. And things are much different now. I mean, there's far fewer sketchy exchanges out there, and the space has come a long way.
So what puts Ethereum on the map? What makes it important? I mostly understand that it's like Bitcoin that you can run apps on top of, and this of course gives spring to the whole world of DeFi. Ethereum is the largest DApp platform on the planet right now. What else makes Ethereum special or interesting by comparison to, say, Bitcoin?
Yeah, so Ethereum just gives you the flexibility of so many other use cases. I mean, essentially, Bitcoin in its current state is basically a store of value, and it does that pretty decently. It was initially purpose to be a form of digital cash, but there's all sorts of other financial products and use cases within that you can, even with traditional finance, right? Borrowing and lending, being able to do that all on chain. Basically, any financial product that you could imagine, being able to do that all on chain in a decentralized manner and execute those the programs that run those financial products without trusting on a centralized entity is what sets Ethereum apart.
Do you guys have any favorite Ethereum dApps that you use, perhaps on a regular basis?
Pretty basic one would just be, I mean, Uniswap or any normal decentralized exchange. 1inch is a great one.
1inch.
Keeping an eye on Alchemix.
Sushi.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bill.
No, things like Sushi and access to any type of derivatives exchange that they've done in a decentralized format using Ethereum. So, there's a lot of things that you couldn't get access to 3 years ago that you can get access to now through the decentralized world. If it wasn't on Coinbase, you couldn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's thousands of currencies are available via Uniswap.
What's your guys' take on Vitalik Buterin? It's just the story of how Ethereum came to be. I largely understand that this is about he got upset when World of Warcraft changed one of the statistics of his characters. He wanted it to be an immutable situation, and I understand that little moment kind of sprang forth and gave birth to what became Ethereum in Vitalik's mind. What do we make of Vitalik Buterin? He's super smart, but he's also kind of a strange guy. What do you guys think?
Well, I think it's one of the ultimate examples of somebody going completely against the grain. And he was like, build it and they will come. Right. Normally that doesn't work. You have to have a value proposition first. You have to have a pain point that you want to solve. He had a World of Warcraft problem, but then built the future of the internet and finance, but he didn't know that at the time. He just said, build it and they'll come. Right. I remember when Ethereum got to a certain number of transactions and he wrote it down on a poster and it was on Twitter, and he's hoisting the poster with the number of transactions like it was the Super Bowl trophy going, F you, I told you so. So he's a strange bird, but he's got a lot of guys underneath him, that are pretty level-headed.
Mm-hmm. Guys, what is Ethereum correlated with, either positively or negatively?
Crypto as a whole, usually anything that's not Bitcoin and classified as crypto usually follows Bitcoin to some extent. So at the depths of the bear market, Ethereum was no exception to seeing a 95+% correction from its all-time high. Now we're seeing, I think, with the added utility that is so much different than Bitcoin, in the sense that Bitcoin's a store of value, but Ethereum provides almost limitless use cases and additional utility over Bitcoin. We should start to see some sort of divergence or decoupling away. Now that may happen in the next couple months. It may happen over the next couple years. I think sooner probably rather than later. But they're different enough assets now. They're both crypto assets, but they're different enough assets now that I think we could start seeing Ethereum move on its own without having to listen to Bitcoin's price noise.
Right. Now, the subject of correlation, you might move to what do you compare it to? Right. I like to look at Ethereum versus, the 5 biggest companies in the world, like your Facebook, Amazon, Google, Microsoft. The collective value of those companies is $4 trillion. And that's bigger than the 300 bottom companies in the S&P 500. So technology in America, our economy is centralized via the 5 biggest tech companies. And one day Ethereum is going to decentralize all those processes. So it's correlated with Bitcoin. It's comparable to our entire tech sector, and it's necessary to create the revolution where we go from those 5 companies owning us and everything else to one where, we've got financial economic empowerment from everything to options trading to Pokemon cards.
So as we're sitting here on Ethereum's 6th birthday, it seems like we're at the beginning of pulling out of a weird bear market. Is Ethereum poised to just keep climbing, or what do you think? Is this the right time to be buying Ethereum today?
So whenever somebody asks, is it the right time to buy something, you have to make a couple assumptions because it depends on what time frame. Are you looking to buy Ethereum and then sell it next week, or are you looking to buy Ethereum as a long-term solid value investment? If the answer is for a value investment, then absolutely, I think now is a phenomenal time to buy it. If you're worried about it going down 10, 20% by next week, then I'd say maybe crypto's not for you. Maybe it's not the smartest investment for you. Crypto does have large drawdowns, a lot of volatility, but in the long term, that volatility has always been up and to the right. It's always been going the correct direction upwards. Now, on the topic of Bill mentioning, market cap compared to technology, I was studying some .com bubble stuff because everyone likes to compare this crypto craze to the .com bubble. And back in 1999, the market cap of Microsoft at its peak in the .com bubble was $600 billion. Ethereum now, which is potentially the future of all finance, decentralizing the potential, limitless potential, is now like a $260 or $270 billion valuation, less than half of a single company, right? And this is, we're talking about Ethereum with thousands of decentralized applications and sub projects built on top of it. So I think the answer to that question is absolutely now's a great time to get involved in Ethereum, so long as you're willing to hold through some potentially a bear market, potentially some downturns. But even in the short term, with the roadmap Ethereum has set ahead of it, I mean, it looks like it should be screaming upwards.
Yeah, I mean, on that note, I mean, I was actually using Microsoft's products back in 1998 and 2000, and their valuation was built on products that barely worked or were so new that they were being debugged. So it's amazing that they achieved that valuation relative to Ethereum, which is working just fine as of now, especially with the decentralized universe. And in terms of whether it's a good investment, it's really funny. First it was, Ethereum's got no killer app. Then, it's overpriced. And then there's this problem and a smart contract can be hacked. Well, folks, here's the deal. The killer apps are out there. They're alive and well. They're thriving. That's, the art market, the finance market, and eventually the content market. Ethereum has just washed everyone out. And as with stocks in 2010 and 2011, when everyone was focused on Greece and Spain becoming insolvent, they missed the big trade, which was the start of the Facebook, Amazon, Apple rally. In this case, everybody is sitting around with Ethereum near 2000 with a laundry list of reasons why crypto is no good, when in reality, all the objections of the last 4 years have been overcome. And all we're waiting for is people to discover and have that oh shit moment that A, I need to own this, and B, the price acceleration can be so dramatic, right? That's the one thing people forget about crypto is that, yes, crypto can go down 10, 20% in your face, but crypto could also 10x. Why can't Ethereum 10x? We can talk about that later.
Okay, let's talk about it a little bit now. I remember when we were all in Miami together, one of the questions I was asking people on the floor of the Bitcoin convention was, will the price of Ethereum ever flip the price of Bitcoin? What do you guys think? Yes or no? If yes, what would it take to actually make that happen? Let's start with Forrest.
Yeah, I actually do think that Ethereum will flip Bitcoin. I've been saying, I think everyone at Token Metrics has been saying this for at least several months now. But there's a couple factors at play. Is one just being utility and scalability, and obviously Bitcoin's extremely scalable. But it's kind of, in terms of scalability and sustainability, like Bitcoin can only handle so many transactions per second. It's on a proof of work algorithm that's very energy intensive. They're trying to move that energy to more sustainable sources. But then you've got Ethereum, which is moving to proof of stake, right? Which will ultimately be more scalable, more sustainable. There's layer 2 solutions popping up all over the place for Ethereum that will allow it to scale to hundreds, if not thousands, of transactions per second in the future. So when you look at like SaaS stocks, it all comes down to scalability, right? Their growth. Look at Shopify back in 2016. It was like, I want to say 20 or 30 or 40 bucks, and now it's at like $1,500 because they made e-commerce extremely accessible and scalable, right? So in my opinion, Ethereum, just from a 10,000 foot view, is far more scalable than Bitcoin. Then you just look at the utility comparisons. You've got Ethereum that provides amazing utility with limitless use cases, and anybody can go in and develop any smart contract or decentralized application that they want on top of the Ethereum platform, right? Then you've got Bitcoin that's basically just a store of value, which is fine. That's great. But when you dig into the tokenomics behind Bitcoin and then compare them to Ethereum's, with Ethereum's move to proof of stake late this year, early next year, and move to EIP 1559, which is just a change in its monetary policy happening on August 4th, which will change it from an inflationary currency to a deflationary currency, you actually have an argument for why Ethereum could and should be a better store of value than Bitcoin. So Bitcoin does one thing well, it does store of value well. Well, Ethereum's potentially going to beat Bitcoin at that one thing that it does well, store of value, and in addition, provide a ridiculous amount of utility. So that's why I believe Ethereum will ultimately flip Bitcoin. I think everybody expects it to some degree. It's just a matter of how long it takes us to get there.
Bill, anything to add? I'm going to guess you largely agree.
Yes, I largely agree. And what I like to focus on are like the intermediate steps, right? So imagine what happens if the ratio of Ethereum to Bitcoin takes out its 2017 high. A lot of people don't know this, but Bitcoin is obviously way beyond its 2017 high as of July 2021. Ethereum is, above it to a certain degree. Okay. But the ratio of Ethereum to Bitcoin is still in the sub basement, right? It's not even close. So what I like to focus on is we take, we did some econometrics work. We're calling it quantamentals. So we took the legacy world and we took Ethereum and we plugged it all into, I don't know, a big regression, econometrics, machine learning simulation. And we started coming up with upside price targets of like $12,000 and $18,000 a unit for Ethereum over the next 6 months. So yeah, Ethereum can eclipse Bitcoin, but I like to focus on what does that price action look like and what are the stages of price action that ETH's going to go through in order to get there. So if you go on YouTube and, you see some guy making a funny face going, Ethereum's going to 18,000, you blow it off. But now with the quantamental approach, with this idea of Ethereum flipping Bitcoin, you have to ask yourself, if that happens, where can it go in the near term? Because that trade hasn't even started yet. So something to think about there.
Forrest, you brought up EIP 1559, which is just around the corner here. Could you unpack that a little bit? I mostly get that this is about changing to proof of stake. You described it as just a change in monetary policy. Can we Let's
Yeah,
unpack this idea. It's coming right up.
so there's two big things happening on Ethereum's roadmap. One is EIP 1559. And simply put, and I'm not a developer, but if you want to dig in on the technical implementation of this, feel free to do that research on your own. But what you need to know from an investment perspective is that Ethereum's utility is that it pays to execute smart contracts. It's a transaction fee, if you will. So right now, if you want to make a trade or use any decentralized application on Ethereum, you pay that. It's called a gas fee, that transaction fee. What EIP 1559, which is happening on August 4th, does is it burns, and I believe the number is 30 to 33%. Don't quote me on that. Again, I'm not savvy to all of the technology or the technicals on the development side, but it's roughly 30% of the transaction fees will be burned. Burned as in when you burn a cryptocurrency, it's just gone forever. So like there's 100 and give or take, I think it's 117 million Ethereum circulating right now. As these portions of these transaction fees start getting burned, that will start to drop. Right. So we'll go from 117 million to maybe 1% less after a year. Then the other big thing is that's happening on Ethereum's roadmap is the shift to proof of stake to Ethereum 2.0. So if you've heard Ethereum 2.0 thrown around, that's just a term that's taking Ethereum or represents the move from Ethereum being a proof of work cryptocurrency similar to Bitcoin, very energy inefficient, to proof of stake. So again, I'm not going to explain the difference between proof of work and proof of stake. What you need to know is that proof of stake is more energy efficient, it's more scalable, and ultimately it should reduce the incoming supply, the minting of new Ethereum. So when you put these two catalyst events, two changes in Ethereum's monetary policy and the way that Ethereum functions together by early 2021 or 2022, is the date set for the estimated date set for Ethereum 2.0. What you have is a currency that is going from being inflationary currently to deflationary. So just for example, just to explain for people that may not understand, let's say we have 117 million Ethereum in circulation right now. If nothing was changed, that number would be going up over time. The supply of Ethereum would be getting diluted. When the supply, basic supply and demand, when the supply of something goes up and the demand doesn't, then price usually drops. So increasing supply is a negative vector on Ethereum's price. Now, supply going down is the exact opposite. It's a very strong positive vector on Ethereum's price. Bitcoin is a disinflationary currency. It just means that it has inflation, but that inflation decreases, gets cut in half every 4 years. We've never seen something like this happen in a large cryptocurrency before. We're shifting from inflationary to deflationary, and it's going to happen very quickly. Whenever Bitcoin's inflation gets cut in half, right? Just the inflation gets cut in half. It doesn't even move to a deflationary currency. We see like a 4-year cycle, like an insane bull market get catalyzed just from that shift. But we're seeing a shift that could have 10 times the impact as a Bitcoin halving is what they're called, happening all at once for Ethereum. So Ethereum going from $2,300 to $18,000 in the next year is like I'm in agreement with that prediction from Bill and the Quantamentals.
Is there a scenario where EIP 1559 somehow adversely affects the price of ETH?
Only if not unless it was for whatever reason incorrectly audited. But I can't. The people behind implementing this. This is going to be a very well implemented and audited change to Ethereum's network. I don't expect any negative side effects. The only, any
already
negative
happened.
price change. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's in other words, the proof of work miners, if they decide not to stake their Ethereum, they could sell it in the open market, but that could have been what caused the drop from 4,500 to 1750. So that trade may have already happened, but the miracle of going from proof of work to proof of stake is that, in proof of work, you run these big computer farms and you've got to sell your crypto to fund your operations, upgrade your equipment, pay your power bill. In proof of stake, it's just the opposite. When you get the crypto, your incentive is to not sell it, but hold it and stake it so you can vote on the network.
Very good. Very good. So here we are, 6th birthday of Ethereum. Do you guys care to speculate about what year 10 looks like for Ethereum? Are we going to be, will my mom, for example, be using Ethereum-based dApps without realizing it 4 years from now?
Yeah, probably.
On the 10th birthday, 4 years from now.
Yeah, very likely. Look, you guys, you've already got video games that run on Ethereum rails. Axie Infinity just blew up, right? You could play Axie Infinity and not really even realize that you're on the Ethereum network, right? So there's the gaming industry alone and it is going to absolutely blow up. I mean, I would predict in 4 years you're gonna have like Angry Birds on old ladies playing Angry Birds on their iPads or earning money because they're earning like Ethereum based tokens, right? It's gonna be huge and it's gonna be everywhere, and you're not necessarily gonna know that you're using Ethereum.
Guys, do we have any parting thoughts as we wrap up this little 6th birthday party for Ethereum? Any parting thoughts?
Yeah, I'll be a little salty. When Bezos spent $13 billion to launch himself into space, that was more than every Amazon employee makes in a year. And when you get that kind of hubris, it's time for decentralization. And the decentralization theme is spearheaded by Ethereum. So it's time for something else to launch into space, and that's ETH.
Very good. Forrest, any parting thoughts on the occasion of Ethereum's 6th birthday?
Yeah, I mean, Ethereum's 10th birthday is going to get here whether you like it or not. Time passes whether you like it or not. It seems a far way off, and it can be scary in the short term to be investing in crypto. But if the next 4 years is going to pass regardless, you might as well put your money to work in that time. And for me, I don't think there's any better place to be than the fastest growing asset class in the world, which is currently being led by Bitcoin and Ethereum. And for reasons we just explained, we think Ethereum is going to outperform Bitcoin. So Ethereum, I believe, is the place to be for the foreseeable future.
Well, great. Happy birthday to Ethereum. Congratulations to Vitalik and everybody associated with it. Bill and Forrest of Token Metrics, thank you for joining us on this special edition of Crypto Hot Seat.